But anyway, it's your boy Kicking It with Timmy B. It's KIWTB News. Got some breaking news here. We have a second attempt to arrest the South Korean President Yoon. Let's go see what's going on here. It's the Sky News.
Is to be a fresh attempt to arrest YoonSukYeol for his short-lived attempt to impose martial law. That happened on December the 3rd, that effort of him to declare martial law. A month later, on January the 3rd, investigators were foiled from serving the first ever arrest warrant issued against a sitting South Korean president after a standoff with hundreds of presidential security agents and military guards. Same thing is happening once again. Video footage showing vehicles from the investigating authorities in front of Yoon's hillside villa in Seoul, the capital, where he's been holed up for weeks. Some 6,500 supporters of Yoon gathered at the residence, and some ruling party politicians too, forming a human chain to block the execution of that arrest warrant, according to the Yonhap news agency. Let's get the very latest then, shall we, from our Asia correspondent, Nicole Johnston. You know, take two more efforts to execute this arrest warrant, Nicole, not proving successful again by the look of it.
Well, not yet, but it's early hours. All of this taking place very early in the morning in South Korea. Dramatic developments and incredible pictures are coming out of the chaos on the scene there. As you said, thousands of supporters of the former president, YoonSukYeol, are gathered outside of his residential home, showing their support, attempting to block this attempt to execute the arrest warrant by the police and by security services. But the former president also has the support of his own security services. And that is the big concern there, that this could descend into some kind of conflict on the streets with both sides facing off against each other. We're already starting to see scuffles and skirmishes break out. We know that there are riot police there as well to get involved if things do start to get under control, out of control, that is. We've also just heard reports that
that slip up, though.
Those police and investigators are trying to enter through a variety of different entrances, but it really is a standoff right now, and we'll have to wait and see how it develops. As you said, all of this goes to show the great deal of uncertainty that is still gripping South Korea at the moment. Ever since the former president attempted to impose martial law, it only lasted a few hours. But now South Korea is still in a very difficult situation, potentially for months to come.
Yes, it's been incredibly destabilising, hasn't it? Nicole, thank you very much indeed. The Corruption Investigation Office secured a reissued warrant on January the 7th for his arrest. The head of that organisation has said authorities would do whatever it takes to bring Yoon into custody. So we'll certainly watch those pictures in the hours ahead.
Okay, so I got an article here. Actually, let's go check this out real quick. Let's get an update on what's going on here. This is what Reuters, right? Yeah, that was a lot of people to be out there. It was a lot of people to be out there trying to arrest this guy. And then he has his own private security, or private police. Interesting. I mean, nothing's really going on now. Oh, snap. What's going on here? Of course, it cuts out as soon as you see these vehicles pull up. Look at this guy. What's going on? So what? This is the compound going up here, and this is the outside, right? Where are these vehicles pulling up? So who is this? Yeah, it cuts out when these vehicles come out. Interesting. That's so weird. And that was just a little bit ago, huh? Okay, so they got some people coming out now. What? We got music going on. Okay. I don't know who those people were. We'll have to get some more information here. We got the AP. Let's pull up here. Let's see what we have. Let me jump on camera. What's up? What's up? The AP has South Korean law enforcement officials enter presidential compound to detain, impeach Yoon, and they just dropped this a little bit ago. Are they? Yeah, like an hour and a half ago or something like that. Everyone's got the all black on. Like that's how you know that they're a part of somebody, because everyone's got their the regular colored jackets and stuff like that. These people's wearing all black. That's crazy. Police officers stand in front of the gate of the presidential residence of impeached South Korean President YoonSukYeol. So this dude is impeached, and they're trying to get him out of here, but he's like, no. That's crazy. It's already Wednesday, January the 15th over there. Seoul, South Korea. Hundreds of law enforcement officials in South Korea enter the residential compound of impeached President YoonSukYeol earlier Wednesday in the capital of Seoul. It was their second attempt to detain him over his imposition of martial law last month. We gotta look into that. I feel like I did a video, or I was gonna do one, and I felt like it wasn't gonna go anywhere. It seems like they're really serious about this. They really do not want this guy to be the president there. We definitely gotta look into that. More than 1,000 anti-corruption investigators and police officers could be deployed in potentially multi-day operation to apprehend Yoon. Like this is crazy. What? Multi-day? Y'all can't just get him tonight? Like what was that? Right? Who has been holed up in a Hunnam Dong residence, and that's what we just seen on that footage there. Okay. For weeks, Yoon has justified his martial law decree as a legitimate act of governance against an anti-state opposition, bogging down his agenda with its legislative majority, and vowed to, quote, fight to the end, end quote. Okay? What? Against efforts to oust him. So he's holed up in this building. It's not even like their Capitol building or their little It's just he's held up in this private residence. That's what it sounds like to me. The corruption investigation, office for high-ranking officials and police are jointly investigating whether Yoon's brief martial law declaration on December 3rd amounted to an attempted rebellion. Okay, so they pledged more forceful measures to detain him after the Presidential Security Service blocked their initial effort on January 3rd. Man, that's crazy. So what? They have a corruption investigation office for high-ranking officials and police are jointly investigating whether... Okay. Brief martial law declaration. Interesting. Following an hours-long standoff at the compound's gate. I mean, like, they're firing weapons, which is, like, just great. No one's, to my understanding, is being harmed here. But, I mean, how far is that gonna, be peaceful, right? Peaceful. Anyway, standoff at the compound's gate. Anti-corruption investigators and police officers were seen moving up the hill. Okay, so that's who those people were. Police officers were earlier seen using ladders. Oh my God, that's crazy. They're trying to climb through windows to get this fool. What? Or to get this gentleman, excuse me. Man, this is nuts. Earlier seen using ladders to climb up over rows of buses placed by the Presidential Security Service near the compound's entrance. See, I shouldn't be laughing about this because I don't remember that martial law. I remember hearing about it. I feel like we did something about it, but I was like, I need to look more into that. If there was people, to my understanding, that did cause like a ruckus there, and there were some people that, like civilians, that were harmed in the process. But like, I don't know too much about this. This is at least that about this insurrection that they're trying to like put on this guy or whatever he did that day by implementing martial law. To my understanding, he felt like these people were trying to overthrow him without the proper evidence. So I could see it kind of both ways here. I need to get more details, but I digress. Let's get back into it. And the anti-corruption investigators and police later arrived in front of a metal gate with a gold presidential mark. That's near Yoon's residential building. Some officers were seen entering a security door on the side of the metal gate, escorted by one of Yoon's lawyers and his chief of staff, but it wasn't immediately clear why they were being let in. The Presidential Security Service later removed a bus and other vehicles that had been parked tightly inside the gate as a barricade. Suk Dong-hyun, a lawyer for Yoon, said attorneys at the residence were negotiating with the anti-corruption agency over the possibility the president could voluntarily appear for questioning. Seok said Yoon had not been detained as of Wednesday morning. He's not detained, of Wednesday morning. It remained unclear whether law enforcement will accept the offer from Yoon's lawyers, as the president previously evaded multiple requests to appear for questioning before the agency sought court warrants for his detention. That's crazy. They got the warrants out, and he's like still evading this. Like, how is this possible? There were no immediate report on clashes, despite a court warrant for Yoon's detention. The Presidential Security Service has insisted it's obligated to protect the impeached president and has fortified the compound with barbed wire and rows of buses blocking paths. That's crazy. So you can't even, like, you're gonna have to leave, right? Or you're gonna have to get resources from the outside, and they can just block it off so you can't get resources. That's insane. This is insane. They're putting up barbed wire. They're like, you're not like sneaking out. We're setting up a perimeter. That's insane. Wow. As tensions escalated, South Korea's acting leader, Deputy Prime Minister Choi Sang-mok, issued a statement early Wednesday urging law enforcement and Presidential Security Service to ensure there are no physical clashes. Yeah, because I was going to say, so this guy, he's the acting leader. Since this guy, the president himself, they're like overthrowing him. He doesn't have that, or someone has to fill in for that, for this gentleman here. That's interesting. Man, this is very interesting. Good thing that no one is being harmed in this as of right now. Groups of police officers dressed in black jackets. Yeah, like I was saying, it's pretty obvious what's going on here. Well, by what these folks are wearing, and in police vehicles, including a white van, possibly the members of a search and arrest team inside, were seen in front of the presidential compound's closed metal gate. Separate goals of police officers were also seen, separate groups of police officers were also seen moving up a trekking path near the hilly compound, apparently pursuing another route. So they're like, this is insane. They can't find this way to get in, so we're going to go uphill. We're getting in. They couldn't get in the window. Yeah, what? Some police officers were later seen successfully entering the residence using ladders to climb over the rows of buses placed at the barricades. His lawyers are going to provide security. Wait, what? Said the Presidential Security Service will continue to provide security for Yoon, and claimed that the detainment warrant issued by Seoul Western District Court was invalid. They cited a law that protects locations potentially linked to military secrets. What? From search without the consent of a person in charge. Which would be Yoon. The court warrant for Yoon's detainment is valid through January 21st. So, what? He's just got to hold out? Man, get out of here. Is this guy gonna hold out here until the 21st? Why is it the 21st? That's like a very interesting date, right? Like, whatever, man. Lawmakers from Yoon's, because they probably had like 30 days or something like that, and they probably issued it last month, and whatever. That's just a weird date. Lawmakers from Yoon's People Power Party, along with at least one of his lawyers, were earlier seen at the residence gate, apparently arguing with anti-corruption officials and police officers attempting to enter. Lawmakers from his party, along with his lawyers, were arguing, screaming at these police officers. That's crazy. hey, we got, we got these documents. You got blah, blah. It's just like, that's crazy. Oh, man. Hundreds of Yoon supporters and critics held competing protests near the residence. One side vowing to protect him, the other calling for his imprisonment, while thousands of police officers in yellow jackets closely monitored the situation, setting up perimeters with buses. Man, these folks in their buses, in their jackets, they don't play. It's got to be cold out there, right? It's got to be cold out there right now. Yoon's top aide Tuesday pleaded with law enforcement agencies to abandon their efforts to detain him. Presidential Chief of Staff Jin-Suk said Yoon could instead be questioned at a third site or at his residence, and said that the anti-corruption agency and police were trying to drag him out like he was a member of the South American drug cartel. Quote, South American drug cartel, end quote. That's insane wordplay right there. Oh, it's like, come on out of here. Come on out of here there, you president, you. That's crazy. It's just like, you gotta watch letting them in there, right? You gotta be putting in freaking cameras and little secret like recording device. I don't trust nobody, right? Like at that level, I mean, if you're held up in this building like that, I don't know. I'm not trusting a lot of people to pull up in there. But if he needs to be questioned and he doesn't want to leave, I mean, they got to do something right then and there, right? Like right at the residence. Like you would think that. I don't know, but I mean, I feel like if this was America, I feel like this would have gone down a little bit differently. I digress. But Yoon Kyun, one of the president's lawyers, said Chung issued the message without consulting them, and that the legal team has no immediate plan to make the president available for questioning by investigators. Okay, if investigators manage to detain YoonSukYeol, they will likely ask a court for permission to make a formal arrest and otherwise be released after 48 hours. Okay. Well, that doesn't sound... I mean, if you got to question the guy, you got to question the guy, but... okay. I'd be interested. I'm very interested to see how this all goes down, though. And will we see it, I mean, like, obviously go down before the 21st, right? If you're enjoying this video, please consider hitting the like, share, and the subscribe button. We're going over the South Korean president having a second attempt to arrest him by some of the authorities of their, like, of another political party out here, out there in South Korea. Yoon has left his official residence in Seoul for weeks, or has not left his official residence. Okay, so that is his place. Okay, he owns that whole complex. It's very interesting. And the Presidential Security Service prevented dozens of investigators from detaining him after a nearly 6-hour standoff on January 3rd. The National Police Agency has convened multiple meetings of field commanders in Seoul and nearby Yeongi. I think that's how you pronounce that. I apologize if I mispronounced that. Province in recent days to plan their detainment efforts, and the size of those forces fueled speculation that more than 1,000 officers could be deployed in possible multi-day operations. The agency and police have openly warned that presidential bodyguards obstructing the execution of a warrant could be arrested. That's crazy work. Yoon declared martial law and deployed troops around the National Assembly on December 3rd. Okay, so we're getting a little bit of some context about what exactly did he do on this specific day, dealing with this martial law that he had to declare. It lasted only hours before lawmakers managed to get through the blockade and vote to lift the measure. I think I was kind of privy to this. It's just like this whole news cycle, like the beginning of this year of 2025 has just been insane. It's been really tough for me to keep up with everything. That's why it's like we're not doing all these videos every single day. It's just so much. Shout out to like Steve Ram and Marfugal News and like a few other people, like or a bunch of other people that like do this like on a consistent basis, like Officer Tatum and the Daily Wire, Tim Pool, the Quartering, the Quartercast, and Sticks and Hammer, and a bunch of other folks. They're doing this like consistently. It's just really overwhelming to be able to keep up with everything. So anyway, Yoon's presidential powers were suspended when the opposition-dominated assembly voted to impeach him on December 14th, accusing him of rebellion. His fate now rests with the Constitutional Court, which has begun deliberating on whether to formally remove Yoon from office or reject the charges and reinstate him. In preventing Yoon's detention on January 3rd, presidential bodyguards were assisted by troops assigned to guard the presidential residence under the command of Presidential Security. Under the command of Presidential Security Service. However, Defense Ministry spokesperson Lee Kyung-ho, I think that's how you pronounce it, said Tuesday the troops will no longer participate in efforts to block the execution of Yoon's detention warrant and will focus solely on guarding the compound's perimeter. So this was Kim Tong Hyung. Shout out to this individual for this article. I thought that was very informative. It sounds like, shout out to the AP, sounds like this guy, he needs to sit down with this opposite side that doesn't like him or that seeks to get him out of there. And he needs to speak up for whatever this whole issue was with this martial law situation that was going on there. And then any of the damages or any of the people that were hurt, I mean, definitely needs to be responsible for that. And I'm sure loss of earnings and all that other stuff may have occurred during said martial law. But yeah, gotta hold this guy accountable. He needs to sit down and speak up for all this. Why is he waiting? Or it's just so weird that it's on the 21st that this court warrant runs out. I'm not too familiar how the laws work over there. Like, did they just do this in like the past week, or was this like? Well, they did this when he did the January 3rd. We'll call it January 3rd for these folks, or I'm sure that's what they're calling it, right? The little January 3 thing here. They initiated at that point, and then, or before that, and then he said he declared martial law, and then they were like, "My man, we got some warrants for you," and then he just goes right to this place that he's held up at, and it seems like he's kind of just waiting it out here. I mean, I'm sorry, I have a very minuscule viewpoint on it. because I'm not from South Korea. I don't have a lot of information about the politics over there. But I to my understanding, this guy is I don't know, not like a Republican, he's more on like a conservative side, and it seems like the folks that are I guess opposing him have a more liberal or like a democratic side over there. So as to what I'm saying, if there's any truth to that, there's gonna be issues. So I mean, that just speaks for itself. There's going to be different viewpoints, and I mean, if one side is super like, we're getting you, and he's just like, no, I'm going to defend myself, and I think this way, you can see why this is happening here. But the use of this martial law is it's very worrisome, because I've never heard of this being implemented in South Korea with my very limited knowledge of the country. So very interesting. So anyway, I'll leave the links for all this stuff in the description below. I'll try to keep you folks updated with this. I'm very intrigued with this now. I want to do a little bit more research, and we'll be back with more. Hopefully we can get some answers.